I've been looking for a device to monitor the transmission temperature and the alternator load on my van. It's important to monitor the transmission temperature because if the transmission temperature gets too high, it really reduces the lifespan of that transmission fluid. And if it gets really high, it'll start to turn to varnish and coat the inside of the transmission and cause damage. And I would much rather pay for something to monitor the transmission fluid, change out the transmission fluid more often, than to have a really large repair bill. I also feel it's necessary for me to monitor my alternator load because I use a DC to DC charger to charge up the over 600 amp hours of lithium batteries I have in my van. And I found the perfect device to do both of these and a whole lot more. And it's this ScanGauge 3. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to install it, how I mounted it, and step by step how I set it up for my van. This thing can be used for any modern vehicle, and it provides an amazing amount of information. In this video, when you see the display of the ScanGauge 3, it's actually sitting in the passenger seat with the camera pointed right down at it. I did my best to reduce as much reflection as I could and provide the best quality picture. Also note that the engine's running the entire time I set up the device, but you won't hear it because I edited out that background noise. So with that information, let's get to it. To install the ScanGauge 3, you simply plug it into your OBD2 port, which on the Ram Promaster is directly below the steering wheel to the left of the brake pedal. So it's right down here. It should be very easy to find on any modern vehicle. And that's all there is to it. Then we're going to start up the vehicle and we're going to take a look at the display. A few things before we go inside. First off, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Seeing the subscriber count really motivates me to do other videos. And if you want to support the channel, please give this video a thumbs up and use the links in the description. If you have a van or you're thinking about building a camper van, take a look at the website, thefrugalfactor.com. And if you have a Promaster van, definitely check out the maintenance section because I give step-by-step instructions how to change out your oil cooler, how to do transmission service, and even an easy way of doing oil changes on the road. And since I'm not a mechanic, I give you truly step-by-step instructions, and I don't take anything for granted. Okay, enough of that. Let's get inside and check this thing out. The first thing you should do after you've installed your ScanGauge is update the firmware. To do that, click More, click Setup, then click Wi-Fi Update. Click Check for Updates. Select your Wi-Fi network. Click Select. Type in your password. Select Connect. Click Save Wi-Fi credentials so you don't have to type them in again. Select the latest Wi-Fi. In this case, it's 1.27. Hit Select. And then ScanGauge will restart. Click Accept. Do you want to see a tutorial? We're going to select No. The next thing is we're going to set up the vehicle. So we're going to select More, Setup. Under Display, you can change the color of the display. And if you make changes that you don't like, you can always go back to the default. Under Vehicle, we want to change our tank size. We have a 24-gallon tank, so we'll put in 24. For engine size, we're a 3.6, so 3.6. 3.6. Fuel type is gas. Then under Units,
we want Fahrenheit, miles, gallons, PSI, and dollars, which is the default. Under adjustments, you can adjust and increase or decrease if you find something is inaccurate, like your fuel tank. If it's not accurately putting in the right amount of fuel, you can make an adjustment here. And then fuel price. ScanGauge 3 will calculate the cost per mile, the cost per day, all kinds of calculations on your fuel cost, which you may or may not want to know. But here you would enter your current fuel price. Under Advanced, that's where we went for the Wi-Fi update. You can click Mode, Update Rate, which is how fast it updates the display. When you want it to go to sleep, by default it's set at 0 RPM, so I'll keep it there. We already did our Wi-Fi update, and we're up to 1.27. And if you wanted to reset everything to default and start over, this is where you would do it. So we're going to go back to the front menu. Now, ScanGauge 3 is an OBD scanner, so you can click on Scan and see if any codes appear. And thankfully, there are no codes. So then we'll go back to the front screen. We'll click on Gauge. Click the little gear icon. Here is where you can also set the color of the display. Go to Layout. Under Layout, you can decide how many items you want displayed on the front screen. Right now it's set for 3 by 3, so there are 9 things. If you go 2 by 3, you'll end up with 6. 2 by 2, there'll be 4, but they're much larger and easy to see. 2 by 3 give you 2 large ones at the top and 3 smaller ones on the bottom. And you can go to fuel economy. We're going to select 3 by 3, and then we're going to customize this display.
One of the features I haven't seen discussed in other review videos is that the screen layout can be different for each screen. You have 3 screens that you can customize. So for screen number 1, I selected 3 by 3. For screen number 2, I could choose 3 by 3, or I could choose 2 by 3, or any of these. And for screen 3, I could put up the fuel economy. And you can change these at any time.
Then we'll go over to monitors. And right now it's empty. We're going to have XGauge go back and scan this vehicle for specific displays. So go to the front screen, click More, then click XGauge. You can manually enter if you know the proper codes, but the easiest thing to do is click Auto Scan. Then select your vehicle, in this case Dodge Ram, hit Select, and click Start Scan. Once the scan is complete, it'll display all the things that it found that it can monitor. Hit Select All, and then select Save. Then go back to the front screen, go to Gauge, click the gear icon. So here I can select the things I want to monitor. So I click the empty spot. I'm going to go over to XGauge, and I'm going to select each one of these. And the most important thing to me is transmission temp, so I'm going to click on it twice. And then I can enter a transmission temperature that I want an audible alarm to go off to warn me. So I'm going to set this at 190 and click Save. Then I'm going to click this spot. I'm going to select engine oil temperature, hit it twice, and I'm going to set this temperature for 220. The next spot, I'm going to select oil pressure. And in this one, I'm going to put down 100 Because when I first start the vehicle, the oil pressure is really high, and then it drops down to like 50 or 60 psi, and then down into the 30s when I'm driving. Next, I'm going to select oil temperature, and I'm going to set that for 220. Next, I'm going to select torque converter slip. I don't know what normal or abnormal torque converter slip is, so I'm going to set this at 50. And then as I drive, I'll learn what a normal reading is. Then the next and last thing I'm going to monitor is I want to monitor the coolant temp. So that's over in standard. So if you just scroll down and select coolant temp, hit that twice, and I'm going to set this for 225 degrees and hit save. Now when any of these go over the temperatures or pressures I've set, an audible alarm will go off, and you can change the alert sound. I like that, so I'll leave it at number 3. Then go to the main screen. Next, we're going to set up our custom display. So hit gauge. Here I selected 3x3, so I have 9 gauges showing. What is here was by default, so I don't want engine RPM on all these displays. So we're going to customize this to what I want, and here's how you do it. Simply click on the spot, and then you're going to select whatever gauge you want to be in that spot. I'm going to go over to X gauge, and in that top left spot, I want the transmission temperature. So now there's my transmission temperature. In this spot, I want the alternator duty. Down here, I'm going to put oil temperature. Here, I'm going to put the torque converter slip. Here, let's say I want coolant temperature. So coolant temperature would be over in standard. So I'll scroll down to find coolant temp. Here I'll put oil pressure. So that's an X gauge, oil pressure. I got my oil pressure here. Here I'm going to have speed, and that's already there, and miles to empty. Now when you click to find miles to empty, that's under trip, and you would just scroll down and find miles to empty. Now let's say I don't want coolant temp over here because I've got transmission temp, oil temp. I would rather have coolant temp in this corner. So it's really easy to move those. Just put your finger on it for a moment and then drag it to where you want it to be. And when you let go, there it is. So these are the 9 items that I'm going to look at as I'm driving down the road. But you have 2 more screens that you can customize. I'll leave it to you to decide what to put in those screens, since now that I've shown you how to do it, you know how to move things around and how to program and customize your screen. In my second screen, I place things like today's distance, today's average speed, today's miles per gallon. And those are just out of curiosity. At the end of the day, these are things I might want to look at. But if you go to the front screen here and you click on trip, by default, you will see many of those things. You've got current, today, previous, and for your gas tank. It's amazing how much information is at your fingertips with the ScanGauge 3. Okay, we're headed out for a test drive. Gauges. We just started the vehicle up. Alternator duty, bouncing around 40, 55. Oil pressure is up there at 83 because it's cold and thick.
and our transmission temp is 73. So we're going to take a little ride and see what happens to those numbers. If I put it in neutral, oh okay, I put it in neutral, it drops down to 4. I put it in drive and it's at 760. I guess it makes more sense. It's just spinning, waiting to engage. So in a way, 700s is normal until I get going, and then it starts to lock up. And it gets into 200. And now I'm doing a constant speed, so it's barely any slip at all. I guess that makes sense. Back. If I put it in drive, torque converter slip is in the 700s, around 750, 760. And I think I've learned that that is correct because the transmission is slipping, prepared to engage and move forward. So if I take and put it into neutral, now the transmission goes down to 9 or 10. I notice that when I'm going uphill, accelerating, and the gears are changing, it's between 200 and 300. And then when I get to a consistent speed, it goes down to less than 10 or sometimes in the negatives. And I think that's correct because that means the transmission isn't slipping when it's locked into gear. But I think the important thing is that I have this thing now, and I start to learn while the vehicle is in good condition and operating what I believe is correctly. I'll start to know what these should be and learn from them as I travel. In the beginning of the video, I showed you that you had to plug in the ScanGauge 3 into the OBD2 connector, which is right under here. And then I ran my cable right along the side here and very simply just pushed it in. And then up here, you can easily pull away the molding. And there's a nice little slot that this easily fits into behind that molding. Bring it all the way up. It's really, really simple. The ScanGauge 3 comes with an extremely well-made suction cup mount for your car. Very, very adjustable. Excellent magnet. Everything about the ScanGauge 3 is definitely top quality. So I'm just going to suction cup this right to my window. And the wire is tucked in right along that molding. And not only that, I can tuck it in under this molding piece. And by doing that, the entire wire disappears. Now I got a few inches back there that I can take up down at the bottom, which I'll probably do later. This is a perfect spot for this thing, because if I park someplace, I can easily remove it and put it away, especially if I'm going to be parked there for a couple days. I think you can tell I believe the ScanGauge 3 is an awesome device. In just the few days that I've had it, it's taught me a lot about my vehicle already. And as I learn more, I'll know what normal is. And then when there's a problem, I'll be able to quickly identify it. And hopefully it won't cost me too much. In a few months, I'll do another review video of the ScanGauge 3 and let you know how it's working for me. If you like this video, please subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, give this video a thumbs up and use the links in our description. If you'd like to know more about the van or van maintenance, take a look at the website, thefrugalfactor.com, or check out this video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.